conversation.
Welcome to the Southfield City Council Candidate Election Forum. Today is October 2, 2023. This forum features 5 candidates who have filed for city council positions. The 3 highest vote getters will serve 4-year terms. The candidate with the 4th highest vote total will serve 2-year terms. There is also a short-term council position with a term ending November 17, 2025. There are 2 candidates vying for that position. The sponsor for this forum is the League of Women Voters, Oakland area. My name is Terry Benjamin, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters. I am not a resident of this district. On July 13th, the League of Women Voters Oakland area sponsored a forum for candidates for the city clerk's office. These candidates will not take part in today's forum. The League of Women Voters is a trusted national, nonpartisan political organization. Our members do the hands-on work to safeguard democracy. While we never endorse a candidate, we are directly involved in shaping the important issues that keep our community strong. As a member of the League of Women Voters, I have the opportunity to contribute in a leadership role such as this one that has great impact on local, state, and even national issues. If you are interested in learning about how you can make a similar impact, I encourage you to pick up some of the League of Women Voters information available here tonight in the back of our auditorium, or visit our website at lwvoa.org. The League of Women Voters does not endorse any candidate or political party. Views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates only, and we, the sponsors, take no responsibility. Candidates will answer questions with their views only and not interrupt another candidate. Questions are asked to all candidates and do not single out any one candidate. All questions are submitted by the audience and screened for duplication and appropriateness by our screeners. Leslie Fleming is one of our screeners. Our pages are circulating in the audience with paper and pencil for you to write down your questions. Our pages are Mike Allen and Maureen Christensen. Okay. Our timer is Joy Shankin. The format for our forum is as follows. All candidates are given 1 minute for opening statements in alphabetical order. Candidates have 1 minute to answer each question in rotation unless extended by the moderator. All candidates will be allowed equal time to answer questions. Closing statements will be 1 minute. The candidates for the full term are Nancy Banks, Daniel Brightwell, Yolanda Haynes, Charles Hicks, Coretta Hogue. Yes, no problem. The candidates for the term ending November 2025, the partial office, Ryan Foster and Michael Mandelbaum. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay. As we begin our forum, I ask all our audience to turn off your cell phones. And please remain silent and hold your applause until the end of the forum. We now begin the forum with opening statements from our candidates, beginning with Ms. Banks. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Good evening. For those of you who do not know me, I am Councilwoman Nancy Banks. Southfield has been my life. I have worked for the city of Southfield for 47 years, 43 years in the city clerk's office, 18 of those years as your city clerk. I retired from the position of city clerk in 2017 and then decided to run for council in 2019, at which time I won a 4-year term. I want to continue serving to maintain Southfield as an excellent place to live, work, attend school, and raise a family. I want to make sure that our police, fire, and EMS departments have all the tools necessary to keep the people and our city safe. Prioritizing city spending and maintaining stability in city government is a priority. I promise that I will be an advocate for the residents, the businesses, and the faith-based communities. I am honored to have the endorsements of our state Senator Jeremy Moss, our state representative Jason Hoskins, as well as our mayor and all of our colleagues on council. I look forward to continue serving and representing you and our great city. Thank you.
Mr. Brightwell.
I am Dan Brightwell, a 35-year homeowner in the city of Southfield and an 8-year member of the current city council. There's a reason one of the longest-serving council members said Dan Brightwell has been the most impactful first-term councilman he has seen in 20 years. Among themselves, some of the city management called me the councilman that gets things done. Among those things done by me since being on council, I initiated and had enacted an ordinance for vicious and stray animals. I added over $60 million to our city fund since being on council and the chair of the finance committee. I initiated the purchasing of body cameras for our police department. I initiated a compensation study that raised the salary of all employees in 2022. And since being on council, the median home value in Southfield has increased by 159%. And as you see, I have a lot of experience and know how to get things done. Thank you.
Ms. Haynes.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters and your team for this important and necessary forum, and to the residents for your support. I am a servant leader, one who serves for the greater good. Everything that I have done in my role as servant leader has led me to this place where I believe I can make a difference, be a team player with vitality and integrity. I've heard the heartbeat of this community, and I am ready to step into the role and work to strengthen our neighborhoods and prioritize the growth and well-being of our residents and businesses. I am Yolanda C. Haynes, asking for your vote to be your voice for this community and to be your city councilwoman. Thank you.
Mr. Hicks.
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you to the League of Women Voters and hello, Southfield community. My name is Charles Hicks. I am a proud Democrat that was raised here, I stayed here, and I serve here. I'm an alum of the Southfield High School, raised my family here, and completed a 6-year term on the Southfield Board of Education, where 3 years I served as president, and my term ended this last December. My goal is to foster collaboration between our city and our schools, leverage relationships at the county, state, and federal level to continue moving Southfield forward. I'm a director at Blue Cross Blue Shield, where I use my skills of defining strategy, project management, process improvement, technology, and innovation. I served as the director of purchasing for Wayne County, where I managed $1.5 billion of annual spend. I want to leverage my skills in procurement, contract management, negotiations, and government finance. Please visit my website to learn more about me, my platform, and to review my resume at electcharleshicks.com. I hope after giving strong consideration of my qualifications and skills, I earn your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Ms. Hogue?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, did I say your name correctly?
You did, thank you.
Ms. Hogue.
Yes. I'd like to also thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. My name is Coretta Hogue. I'm currently a sitting council person on the Southfield Council. I was appointed unanimously last year, and I honor that because that says that each and every one of my colleagues believed in me and they supported me being appointed as your council person. I've been a resident of Southfield for 23 years, and in that capacity, I also served Southfield as a trustee and commissioner on the City of Southfield Employee Retirement System Board, the City of Southfield Retiree Healthcare Benefits Plan and Trust, and the Administrative Civil Service Commission. What I like to say about that, for 10 years, I never missed one meeting. I've been chair as well as just an active participant on those boards and commissions. I am currently employed through the healthcare system, and I've also taught at numerous colleges and universities throughout Michigan.
Thank you, Ms. Hogue.
Thank you.
Mr. Foster.
How you doing? This is Ryan Foster, running for Southfield City Council 2023, two-year term. I say that a lot because on my YouTube channel, I talk about that a lot. I'm going to show you in this race the difference between me and my opponent. My name on my yard signs, name on my banner is put.
I'm sorry, you do not allow that.
Allow what?
No, you're not attacking another person in this forum. I'm sorry. At this point, we'd like you to talk about yourself, why you're running, and what are your qualifications, but we are not attacking that. I'm
Okay, I
sorry.
see where the lines are drawn. Okay, Ryan Foster, running for Southfield City Council 2023. My name and my campaign motto is putting God first. I'm the only person up here that does not have anything written down. I'm either going to tell you the truth or I'm going to lie to you. Basically, I'm going to tell you the truth because I'm not going to lie to you. Why would I come up here and lie to you at all? So I'm going to tell you about roads. I'm going to tell you also about representation. I'm also going to talk about the budget. I don't get a chance to see the budget, but what I'm guessing is money where we could put in the right spot. And then also, I have an idea what we can do for a lot of abandoned hotels and a lot of businesses here that is just sitting there wasted. I'm a person that's coming in here that's new. I'm not someone that's going to be getting endorsements and a lot of money because I basically say the truth. That's my point. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Mr. Mandelbaum.
Thank you. Good evening, Southfield. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. My name is Michael Ari Mandelbaum, your current Southfield Council President. I was born and raised in Southfield, and I'm raising my family here. My kids and I enjoy many of the amenities Southfield has to offer. This fall, I'm asking for your vote to keep me on Southfield City Council. I will continue to fight to keep our city diverse, make it more walkable, attract younger families with affordable housing, great schools, and community activities. I will push for continued road improvements, park improvements, and a new pool. I will work to attract restaurants and businesses. I will monitor the Northland development and continued adaptive reuse of buildings. I will advocate more programming for Southfield seniors, increased transparency in government spending, and first-rate police, fire, and EMS. For the past 8 years, I've had the privilege to serve you. With your vote again, I go to work.
Thank you. We now begin our question and answer segment of our forum. Most answers, again, will have a 1-minute time limit. Mr. Brightwell, we begin with you.
Okay.
Question is, what makes you uniquely qualified to be on the Southfield City Council?
My experience in corporate America, the fact I have an MBA degree, and the fact I've been on council for 8 years. I chaired the finance committee as a freshman. That had never happened in the city of Southfield. And being on council, we added $60 million to our general, our fund balance since I've been on council. And my visioning is I've had a lot of corporate experience. I initiated a compensation study that got everybody in the city of Southfield a raise. I initiated a look at all our facilities that indicated that we would have $165 million to redo all our facilities over the next 10 to 15 years. Some are visionary, and I look at, from a management standpoint, what needs to be done and how it should be done. And that visioning is that I have a vision for my next 4 years of looking at things that need to be looked at in Southfield. One of the big things I want to look at is a staffing study to make sure we have all our departments staffed adequately for what we need to do to serve the citizens of Southfield. Thank you.
Ms. Hayes?
It's Haynes. One of the greatest roles that I have is that of being a mother of 9 children, of which, of the 9 children, 8 I homeschooled. During that time, I was able to work and serve in this city. I also taught my children to serve. I have served on several nonprofit organizations where I have managed money and also provide programs for this community. And I've also served in a role in Detroit with a past council person as a community liaison. As I said from the beginning, all those things that I've done in my past has brought me to where I am today. My uniqueness is those things, and the fact that I am available. All my children are grown. I have the time to serve this city, to put in that extra work, that hard work, to read the information, to read about the policies, to attend the committees that we are required to attend to get this job done. I have the integrity, and most important, I have the vitality. I am ready to do this job. Thank you.
Mr. Hicks.
Yes, thank you. Serving the last 6 years on the Southfield Board of Education has given me the opportunity to work with a team of 7. And it allows me to understand where opportunities are for the city as well as the schools to be more collaborative. My goal is to utilize that skill as well as the skills that I have professionally, where I have a background in purchasing, contract negotiation, issue management, risk mitigation, all skills that I believe could be value added as part of this group of 7. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Hogue.
Thank you. My unique qualifications would be is that I possess and bring to the position over 30-plus years of leadership where I bring experience in budgeting, negotiating, process improvements, and the biggest and best thing is relationship building. I'm not a politician, but I'm a people person, which means I listen and I ensure that I can relate and understand what the needs of the citizens, the business community would need. And with that, I bring a logical thinking to the process. I trust myself. I know that I am able to weed through the personal feelings and things that are not part of what the problem is and get down to the root of it. And then I'm committed and I am a workaholic. That is what I would bring to the position.
Thank you. Mr. Foster.
What I bring to the position is I'm a person that lives check to check. I have to believe most people in Southfield is middle class, working class, people that go to work every day, people that do something. Not a person that money is handed down where they do nothing. I think a lot of people go to work, they want to come home to a safe community, want the police to back them, they want the neighborhood to look great. And another thing that I'll tell you is if you think about the prophet Jeremiah, he said stuff that people didn't like at the time, but it was needed, and he was warning them. And now, like I said, I'm a person that I believe that when you have politicians that stand behind the word and stand behind faith, they can lead people a certain way. It won't lead them down the wrong way. So I just feel that faith is very big for me, and I think it should be big for this community, because when we lose that, we start losing people. Then once you lose the community, you start losing the city, you start losing the state, you start losing the country. So I think the further we get closer to God, the way we can start coming back towards good things in our community.
Thank you. Mr. Mandelbaum.
Thank you. One of the things that I love about being on the current city council is helping people. I make myself available to all the residents. I think I'm the only current council person who has their cell phone number listed on the city's website because I want to be available. I listen to people, I help them, I get back to them. It may not be the answer they want, but they get an answer either way, and we try to find solutions. Prior to joining the city council, I spent 6 years on the Total Living Commission in Southfield, learning about the city, understanding the processes, and I was able to join the city council with a running start to understand the processes. I'm always informed at the meetings. I read all the material. I ask the questions that need to be asked of administration to make sure that we're spending our money appropriately, and I always look for new ways in technology to help the residents with more efficient government. Thank you.
Ms. Banks.
Thank you. Could you repeat the question, please?
What makes you uniquely qualified to be on Southfield City Council?
Thank you. I believe what makes me uniquely qualified to be on City Council is my 47 years of institutional knowledge that I have working in the city. Vision, unity, experience, and leadership is what I bring to the table. I'm presently the chair of the Neighborhood Services Committee, and I sit on the Finance Committee also, where we continuously monitor the finances of our city. If elected by the people, I hope that we will be able to bring a zero-depth pool, and possibly an aquatic center to the city. Council has worked together. We have visited several locations, and I believe that we have selected a wonderful plan to bring forward. Also, we have finally finalized a dog park in the city of Southfield that we hope will shortly be introducing to the city. Thank you.
Ms. Haynes, you have the next question. What do you see as the most demanding issues facing city council for this election year? I'll read it again. What do you see as the most demanding issues facing City Council of Southfield for this election year?
There are so many issues, and I think that having talked to some of the residents, we are more concerned with our seniors. Our seniors are looking for a place to call home where they can be comfortable here in our city, and we want to be able to provide for them the proper housing for those who are moving from a larger place to a smaller place, the proper facilities where they can enjoy such things as a pool or just a location where they can sit and be comfortable among their peers. And that is important to our seniors because we want to keep them here. We want to keep them happy and healthy. Sometimes, as residents, we have to go other places for those things, and we would like to be able to have those things here for the seniors. And I think that is a pressing issue, and I hear that more than I hear other things. So yes, of course, the roads are important, and the taxes are important, but we right now, with our money that we have, can support our seniors and also be able to just hear from them and see what they want in terms of changes for them, the betterment of themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hicks?
Yes,
Before you begin, please, I'd like to remind all you candidates to speak up loudly so that people in the back of the room can hear what you have to say, because I know you want them to hear it.
Can they hear us?
Mic check, 1, 2.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So retention and attraction of citizens and business is a pressing issue for council. As you drive through any major thoroughfare, you see a variety of businesses with for sale or for lease. You know, the impacts of COVID and the brick and mortars have changed the business model. So there's a lot of businesses that are empty. So in order for us to continue thriving, repurposing those properties for use for our citizens is value added. We want to be able to keep business here. We want to be able to keep our citizens here. So retention and attraction and attracting of business and citizens is a pressing issue.
Thank you. Ms. Hogue?
Yes, thank you. I would agree that keeping and ensuring that our commercial buildings here are occupied is very challenging for us. But I'm going to be courageous and also say what's a major issue on the ballot is really the adoption of the charter amendments. That is pressing to the city, and it's needed. We have to do what is right for the city, what makes sense. We are the only city in Oakland County that does not appoint our clerk and our treasurer. Over 86 or over 80% for sure of cities in the state appoint the clerk and the treasurer. It's not about the rhetoric that's out here to take a vote. It's doing what makes sense to ensure that we give qualifications, accountability, and responsibility to those positions. It's what's right, and it's courageous to do the right thing. Thank you.
Mr. Foster?
Okay, I'm gonna try to answer 2 questions at once. The first thing, I believe, is roads. We gotta fix our roads. If you go to any city around Southfield, the roads look better immediately. I think our funds should be put in the right spot to fix our roads, small streets, big streets, freeways. We gotta somehow bring in these funds to fix, not just patch the roads up, completely regut the roads. And then second, I love the person that just said the last comment. I'm voting for her. She's one of my favorites, but I believe that ballot initiative should be a no and a no. The reason I say that is because this is my 3rd election. If that passes, the mayor and his city manager and certain people, they gonna pick and choose who they want for the next 20 years. We already see what happens in Pontiac, Southfield, Oak Park, and Detroit. They are picking and choosing what they want in inner city communities, minority communities. I say we should vote no on that. I'm trying to tell everybody to vote no on that. We gotta stop bringing people in that have never even been to our communities, and they want to come in here and just run for it and win.
Mr. Mandelbaum.
Thank you. It's always hard to pick which items are the most pressing, but it was mentioned, senior activities are very big in Southfield. Southfield has a growing senior population. We need to make sure that we have space for senior activities in Southfield, and we have the activities that the seniors want. Housing. We need more senior housing. We need new housing. The city is looking at all of those options currently to make sure that we can fill those needs. Roads. This is the 9th year in a row that Southfield has led Oakland County in road work. The city is spending over $30 million on road and sewer repair just this season to make sure that we have proper roads. Parks and trails. It was mentioned we have a dog park coming. We've also applied for many state and federal grants to have walking trails along the Rouge River and to help encourage residents to get out and exercise and get the fresh air they need and discover all the wonderful things Southfield has.
Thank you, Ms. Banks.
Thank you. I think one of the most demanding issues facing City Council for this year is we have to be fiscally responsible. It is very important that we watch over our budget to make sure that our taxes, are not increased, that we have enough money so we can maintain the roads, and that we can offer many of the wonderful programs that we presently offer in the city. I also agree that it is very important that the charter amendments be approved. This is a business decision from the entire council that these two positions be appointed versus elected. And I think it's also important that retention of our residents and also our business community, we need to find out why people love Southfield and what we can do to keep bringing them here. Thank you.
Mr. Brightwell.
Could you repeat the question, please?
What do you see as the most demanding issues facing City Council for Southfield in this election year?
I think the most demanding issue is the council should make sure we maintain the financial stability of the city of Southfield. Maintain that stability so that we can continue to provide services that people expect, and also we can retain and hire new employees. The second item that I think is a very demanding item is to attract families that are family-forming stages of life so we can repopulate the schools and we can repopulate the city. Those are the two major issues. And as the financial chair, since 2015, when I was a freshman, I instituted a tracking mechanism so that we could track our finances on a monthly basis versus the budget versus actual. That is quite similar to the corporate report I would get when I was with AT&T. Thank you very much.
Ms. Haynes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, not Ms. Haynes. Mr. Hicks, you have the next question. And that is, as a council member, what do you plan to do about the swimming pools that our families can't use?
Well, one of the things that I had proposed as a member of the Southfield Board of Education was to utilize the existing pools at both Southfield Lathrop's campus and Southfield High as an interim solution until the council had an opportunity to explore next step at replacing the pool at the Civic Center. I believe that's still a viable answer because those are assets that the citizens of Southfield own. I believe that we should be working collaboratively for the benefit of our community.
Thank you. Ms. Hogue?
Thank you. The logical answer would be to collaborate and work with the school systems and utilize their pools. The problem is they're not up to date to meet compliance, so we can't. So the problem is we've got to build our own. That's just it. It's a bottom line. So we have to figure out how we can get that done. We have to build our own because the schools' pools are not available. We did look into that option, and it just wasn't a solution for us. The only solution we have is to build our own, repair our own, and with that, it costs money. So we have to be committed to it. We have to prepare ourselves and plan for it. It's not something that can happen overnight, but it is something that we all agree that must be done.
I like both answers, but I'm going to say that I believe that whatever is cheaper, the city has to save money. That is true. We don't know what's coming up in the future. If it's cheaper to maintain what we have, if it can pass requirements and they can update it, if it's cheaper, yes. If it's cheaper in the long run to build a new pool, then do that. I believe whatever is cheaper, because one thing that Governor Whitmer got credit for when she ran for re-election, the state of Michigan did save some money. We had, our income, it went up a little bit, so she got credit for that. She won re-election. But I think that we shouldn't waste money in Southfield. We got to pick whatever is cheaper, because we don't know what's coming down the pipeline. There's a lot of other stuff I could bring up, but Southfield needs to prepare for whatever's coming. You don't know what's, COVID threw a lot of people off. We never know what's coming next.
Mr. Mandelbaum.
Thank you. I love swimming pools. I love pools. My first job in high school was actually a lifeguard at multiple pools, even including the one here in Southfield at the Franklin Athletic Club. We tried putting Band-Aids on our pool for years. Unfortunately, they don't make the parts anymore, and we have looked at many other rec centers and pool aquatic centers throughout the Oakland County area. And it comes down to what the city can afford to, and what the city can afford to maintain. We can build something, but we have to be able to maintain it as well. As it was mentioned, we did reach out to the school district, but their pools are currently under maintenance and being rehabbed as well. But we have to make sure that we have the right things to do. A new pool can be upwards of $30 million. The city has to be fiscally responsible to make sure that we can build a new pool and maintain the new pool without raising taxes and creating a burden for residents years to come.
Ms. Banks.
Thank you. What do you plan to do about the swimming pools? Was that the question?
The question is, as a council member, what do you plan to do about the two swimming pools that our families can't use?
Thank you. I was part of a 3-member council team that for half of the year, we visited, I believe it was 7 or 8 different communities. During those visits, we asked the communities, if you had to do this all over again, what do you like, what don't you like? And I believe that we have come up with a wonderful plan for the city. I believe we all agree that we want a zero-depth pool, an aquatic center, and something that can be used by our seniors during the day and also our children. We need to teach our children, and also adults, how to swim. However, as with everything, we have to be fiscally responsible, and we have to see if we can afford to build what this council would like to see here in Southfield. And right now, they are putting a plan together to see if we can build the aquatic center that we deserve here. Thank you.
Mr. Brightman.
Yeah, again, as Finance Committee Chair, I initiated the look at the pool. We brought it to the Finance Committee to take a look at, and we visited 7 communities in Wayne and Oakland County that are the state-of-the-art pool design at this point in time. We looked at them from a best practice standpoint, and we gathered their best practices. And we are now planning and designing the pool to be built within the city of Southfield. And the stages, though, we're also taking a look at finances. It was a step-by-step process. We looked at what we want to look at. We looked at what we want, and we decided what we did not want. And by visiting those 7 communities, there was a process of looking at what did they do and what they would not do the next time around. So we got the best practices, and we do know that the pool built in Southfield would be a year-round pool, and that's a given. So it's coming. Thank you.
Ms. Haynes.
It's my understanding that to build a pool here would be about $45 million. I was at one of the meetings, and that's what I heard. We currently have a school board that introduced a millage of $300 million for 30 years. Now, I think that it would be a great idea if we could get some of that $300 million and put into an abandoned school or refurbish a pool that is already at the schools for our seniors. We have to go outside of this city to use those facilities to go swimming. I think we're going to Oak Park. If we have something in essence of $300 million, why not collaborate? Why do we have to reinvent the wheel by borrowing more money to do something that we already have? I think it's logical that we build bridges with the school board and the facilities, and think of ways that we can work together to get that pool in one of our schools or at that school that needs the work. Thank you.
Ms. Haynes,
That's me.
Ms. Hogue, I'm sorry. I have two questions here. Regarding the ballot proposal, should the clerk be elected or appointed? And the other question is, what is your position on appointing or electing the city treasurer? I combine these two because they are similar.
Yes, thank you for that. And as I stated before, I am in support of the ballot charter amendments. And whether you agree with me or not, the key is that we have to remain civil and respect each other. There is rhetoric out there that is making it a race issue, or quite frankly, it's just very appalling, the literature that has gone out. We can agree to disagree. I support it. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. What it means is that I want it to be more qualification and requirements to the position just besides being a resident and a voter. I can't get my job unless I'm qualified and meet some requirements and have some accountability in what I do. It's not a bad thing to want that for the city as well, nor is it a racial issue, and it doesn't make me a bad person. I just ask the voters to think for themselves, research for themselves, and do what they think is best. But there's nothing wrong with having qualifications and requirements for two of the most important positions in the city of Southfield.
Mr. Foster.
Okay, so the ballot initiative to appoint city clerk and city treasurer, okay, it sounds good. Qualifications, get the job done, bam, 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 save money on elections. But these communities, like Southfield, they are going to be controlled by a few group of people like these other cities around us. That's why I still support vote no, because you're gonna have a few people in a room, they're gonna pick their friends, and they're gonna pick people look a certain way, and it's gonna be just like this like it is in Pontiac, like it is in Oak Park, like it is in Detroit. And the next thing you know, you're gonna wake up one day, look at Midtown and look at downtown. The people that live in the city, on the outskirts of the city, they don't get the same services as people living in the inner part of the city or Midtown. It's a donut. It's completely flipped.
Thank you. Mr. Mandelbaum.
Thank you. I also support the charter amendments to change the city clerk and the city treasurer to appointed positions versus elected positions based on a strictly business decision. Southfield is the only community in Oakland County that still has an elected clerk and treasurer. In Michigan, 85% of cities have an appointed clerk and treasurer. It was mentioned these are most important jobs in the city. They deal with $215 million annually. They deal with elections. They deal with contracts. These positions need to have better qualifications than being a resident in the city for 1 year. They need to be able, we can post the position, we can vet the proper applicants to get the best possible person for those jobs.
Ms. Banks.
Thank you. I strongly support the decision to change the charter to make both the city clerk and the city treasurer appointed positions. Like my colleague said, the clerk and the treasurer have access to over $215 million. Both of these offices are major departments, just like our police department and our fire department. Both of these departments are responsible for the checks and balances of the funds of our city. So let me say this to you. If you won over $1 million in the lottery, would you ask your next door neighbor, where should I invest my money? Or would you look for a financial advisor who has a degree and has experience in investing your money? Think about that. By voting on both of these proposals, you are guaranteeing that we will have the best administrative managers to watch over our tax dollars and protect our precious right to vote. Thank you.
Mr. Brightwell.
One of the major responsibilities of council is to ensure the financial stability of the city and the election integrity of the city. For with that reasons, I want to have an appointed treasurer and city clerk, because we will ensure that individuals coming into the city will have the qualifications and the skills to perform those jobs. And there are reasons why cities fail. And I've studied, that was part of my MBA degree. I had to look at why cities fail. And financial stability and election integrity is a big function of that. And this is a management tool. They will be, in essence, the new employees will be at-will employees, and their job performance will be based on performing the jobs as described as being the treasurer and the city clerk. Thank you.
Ms. Haynes.
You know what? I have the utmost respect for our fire chief and our police chief. Those two men in those positions were appointed. They were appointed by our city administrators. We have to trust that this same administration will do the same thing and search for a well-qualified person, a person of integrity and professionalism. This is about the business of Southfield. We are the center of it all. We want our name, the Southfield city name, to be respected. We want someone to come in that position and do the job that they are trained to do. Otherwise, you can get someone like my son, who's an IT person, to come in here and say, hey, I'll do the job, and he's not qualified. Or we can get anyone to do that. I stand with this current city council in their proposal to vote yes on this amendment. The charter was 1958. We need to grow up.
Mr. Hicks.
Yes, when I was the director of purchasing for Wayne County, I had a deputy purchasing director. And that person's job was to act on my behalf when I was unavailable and also to help run day-to-day operations. I believe we're focused on a person in each role, but it's really a team effort. Pretty much everyone on this dais has talked about being a team player. When you have a deputy and then a staff who are able and capable of keeping the operations of the areas going, that's where focus should be placed on. We haven't talked about Oakland County treasurer or clerk being removed, nor in Wayne County. So why are we considering it here? If the people say that we should appoint, I support that. But personally, I believe that we need to continue doing as we've been doing and make sure that we have the proper succession planning so that we have able and capable staff to keep our offices running and operating and abiding by any laws that are identified. Thank you.
Next question goes to Mr. Foster. The city of Southfield does not have a senior activity center. If elected or re-elected, what will you do to help bring an activity center for seniors to the city of Southfield?
The golden years are, my parents are older. The golden years is supposed to be a time where you are to enjoy life, and your kids, even if you don't have kids, people are supposed to help you, and you're supposed to enjoy life, and the city you stay in should be prepared to help you. And Southfield has a number of apartment buildings and a number of places where we could refurbish, or we could fix up a place for seniors. I know that Southfield has the potential to do great things because we have a large population, we have an educated population, and we have the room to do it. All we need is just the leaders. All we need basically is to have somebody, okay, say, no, let's go ahead and get it started. So I think we can do that if it's in the budget. Now, I'll say I'm also big on not wasting money too, but I believe that is important. We can look for something that she said from the $300 million from Southfield schools. We could find something to help our seniors to have them enjoy the later part of their life.
Mr. Mandelbaum.
Thank you. Seniors are wonderful. The city is always looking for different ways to increase what we can do for our seniors. This past year, we had a $500,000 grant from Oakland County to help improve some senior services and accesses and make a senior space, but it's not enough. We are currently looking at our building to make sure that it is right-sized and we can fit more things inside the building. And one of those things we're looking at is where can we put a senior center? Maybe we move offices around and put some senior rooms and space for their card games on the first floor rather than upstairs. We are looking at all these different options. Things do cost money. We are trying our best, working with our seniors to see what they need and what their wants are and work within our building and within our budget to make the most of what we have to give them the most of what they need.
Thank you. Ms. Banks.
Thank you. Well, when it comes to a Southfield Senior Activity Center, that's kind of a tricky question. We have seniors in our city that say, I want to be with the young people. And then we have seniors in our community that say, I would just rather be with the seniors. We presently do have programs at McDonald Towers in River Park Place, and our Parks and Recreation Department also has programs for our seniors. But I believe the true question is, do we actually need a separate senior center? And what is the definition of a senior? Sometimes people say it's 55. Some people say it's 62. Some people say it's 65. Some people say it's 72. That's why I'm really hoping that if we can get our aquatic center built, it will be another place for seniors to go and exercise and be together. And also the Commission on Senior Adults has put a report together that they're studying this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brightwell.
Just so happened at the last council meeting, I announced that I would be initiating a look into building a senior citizen center. That was at the last council meeting. This is a product of what I've done on council, and while I've been campaigning, a number of seniors came up to me and mentioned to me telling me some of the best senior citizen center in the metro area. And I have reached out to those centers, and we will, like I started with the pool, gathering everyone, we visited 7 centers. I'll be initiating a visit to some of the best practice from a senior citizen standpoint. And these suggestions are coming from our senior citizens, and I've gotten communications in the mail now from a couple of senior citizen centers that should be looked at and should be talked to. So the bottom line, that we initiate a looking into centers and looking at replicating what is out there now. Thank you.
Ms. Hayes.
Can you please repeat the question?
The city of Southfield does not have a senior activity center. If elected or re-elected, what will you do to help bring an activity center for seniors to the city of Southfield?
One of the things that I talked about earlier is what I did in the community before was community liaison. I think it's so important that we have a conversation continuously with the seniors. Sometimes we overlook what they want, or we may not be in clear definition of what they want if we're not having that conversation. I'm not saying the council does not have that conversation, but I think we need to have an ongoing conversation with the seniors to make sure we are doing what they want and what they're asking for. Again, I think it's important that we work with the school system. There's a place where we can have the seniors work with the younger people. That's a great way to building bridges in this diverse culture. And I think that's so important that we continue in that area of diversity to help our seniors engage in the community with the younger people and also provide services and a place for them. Keep the communication open, find out what they want, and let's help them get what they want. Thank you.
Mr. Hicks?
As a person who helped define the vision for the bond that's been mentioned several times with the schools, one of the visions that I had placed out there was leveraging how the Hawk in Farmington Hills, where they repurposed Farmington Harrison High School into a recreational facility, taking an offline school here in Southfield so that the city and the schools are more collaborative to make something like that happen in our city, to support not just the seniors, but our kids who don't have a lot of activities that they can go at no cost. I mean, when we go to Beach Woods and/or here at the Civic Pavilion, most of the things are at a charge. We want to be able to make sure that our students and our seniors have options to have activity at no cost. This would be an excellent opportunity.
Ms. Hogue?
Thank you very much. As a council person, I won't overpromise and underdeliver. I've heard what the seniors have said. They do want their own spot. They don't want to be booted if something comes up. They want to still be able to have the activities wherever we tell them that they can have it at. But what's key, we know they want to be here on campus. They like to interact with the police department, with the fire department, with other officials and leaders. They want to be here. So as a result of COVID, we're still trying to figure things out and figure our facilities, department, renovation, and all of that. But the seniors do want a spot. They're not saying they want a huge, big building. They just want their own dedicated spot that we won't ever take from them, and they want it here on campus. I think we've all heard it, my colleagues and I, and we just have to make a plan and make it happen. We are committed to the seniors. We just have to make sure we do a better job of it.
Thank you. Mr. Mandelbaum, there's a need for more independent thought. Please provide an example where your position differs from the mayor's.
Okay. You know, one of the things about being on a council is working collaboratively. We don't always see eye to eye, but we get along and we hear each other out. One of the things that I think differently from the mayor is as it relates to public art. The mayor is very strong in public art, which is great. Art is subjective. It's beautified the city. But I believe that we can also focus many of our efforts in other places and do other things for many of the residents rather than just art and placemaking. And it could be something with Parks and Recreation, it could be something with the seniors. But I think if we turned a little bit more focus on something other than art, I think that's where I would not disagree with the mayor, but have more independent thinking than the mayor. Thank you.
Ms. Banks, there's a need for more independent thought. Please provide an example where your position differs from the mayor's.
This is a tough question. I have to agree with my colleague when it comes to art. Art is in the eyes of the beholder, and what I may think is beautiful and artsy and attractive and should be in the city, one of my colleagues may think opposite. So I do agree on the art situation. Also, we recently had a situation when it came to the dog park. I know the mayor's been wanting a dog park for a long time. As a proud grandparent of a new fur baby, I also want a dog park in our community. However, I want it to be a nice dog park, a large dog park, a visible dog park. And at one point, we disagreed because he wanted it, let's just start small and put it here and just get it going. But I think we came to a compromise, and hopefully we'll see our dog park coming forward real soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brightwell.
There are not too many things that, my focus primarily has been the financial health of the city. I think the mayor's focus has been also. The only difference that we have is perhaps the extent of some art, and that's linked to his focus. And I recall years ago, when I was the council president, we had an issue with respect to a certain art, and that was a major difference in installing that art. So, but there's not too much of a difference with respect to the mayor and my thinking. I'm pretty much a corporate guy. I bring my experiences. As long as we are doing our checks and balances, adding to the general fund, I'm with it. So there's very little difference other than his desire, which is a solid concentration on art.
Ms. Haynes.
Thank you.
Well, the mayor and I have had disagreements, and we had a big disagreement, and it was on the Northland project. I am not currently a sitting council member, but we would have conversations off and on about things that are going on. And he came to me and told me what was happening with Northland. This was before now. And when he told me what they were trying to do, I said, you must be crazy. I said, you have to come up with something better for the face of our city at 8 Mile. I was devastated to hear that they were making stackables under the bottom basement and all these things that they were doing. And he said, well, this is all we have. And I was very disappointed. The one thing about it is we respectfully disagreed. And I think that it's key and that's important. He is the mayor. I let him know I did not agree with him. I said, you got to come with something better, and this city did, and I'm happy for that. So on this council, you can respectfully disagree with people, even as community leaders or community people. You come in here, be respectful when you disagree with someone, and respect them in their position, and respect this place as well. That's something we all can learn. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hicks.
Well, I believe that effective and efficient leaders have people that challenge them around them. Because I believe in iron sharpening iron. You don't want to have a bunch of yes people who just go along to get along. I believe that you need to have people who challenge your thought so that you can help make you better, make a better decision for the collective. So I think it's okay to disagree on some items. But I think that if you have conversation and come to common ground, it's in the best interest of all.
Thank you. Ms. Holt.
Thank you. As I contemplate how I will answer this question, anybody that knows me know I'm an independent thinker, strategic thinker. And there's been things that I disagree with, or I shouldn't say disagree, but maybe not a high priority for me, whether that be arts or the pet park. But what I will say is, I want to apologize for the mayor being a good man and a good mayor. That's evidenced by his reelection over and over and over again by the majority of the residents. I won't apologize for that. And it doesn't mean that I'm a yes ma'am or anything. It just means that good minds, great minds think alike, and that's just what we have in the city of Southfield.
Mr. Foster.
Yes, a long time ago, I think when I moved back from Texas, I met Mayor Seibert and Amani Johnson at my door, knocking on the door, handing out a flyer. They talked to me, and I voted for them, and I remember that. And then when I started running in 2021, I started to notice that everything I did, the mayor did not like. So I think me and the mayor have a lot of stuff in common, but we disagree a lot of stuff politically. And I don't think anybody should have a whole bunch of yes men around them. I mean, Trump had that, and you see what problem he got in. But me and the mayor, we disagree. But I believe that certain people that love this city, that's born in this city, they have the mindset to move this city forward. It don't matter if they're, what type of people you have around you. As long as they love your city, they should be on your board. You know, I think that they have pushed people away that they don't like or they don't trust or I don't feel them, and they put yes people up there. No. Put people in there that love the city.
Thank you. Ms. Banks, describe your thoughts on the specific role of council in our overall city government system.
The role of council We are the governing body for the city of Southfield. We set policy as recommended by our city administrator and our city attorney. Was there another part to that question? Sorry.
Describe your thoughts on the specific role of council in our overall city governance system.
Yeah, we are the governing body for the city. And as I said, we set policy as outlined by our administration and our city attorney. Thank you.
Mr. Brightwell.
To me, the council is the board of directors for the city. We pretty much approve all the legislative activity that goes on in the city with changing the laws and changing the ordinances and establishing rules and regulations as they relate to the city. And again, I will use the term, we're the board of directors for the city of Southfield. Thank you.
Ms. Haynes.
The great thing I like about that is this is a seven-member, nonpartisan position where the council is the city's legislature and policy-making body. The council is responsible for adopting the annual city budget, contracts, laws, ordinance, and resolutions, approving purchases, zoning and planning requests, and granting permit and licensing terms. I will take advantage of that if I become a council member and take advantage of all of the training and resources available to be able to do that job. And I will stand with integrity, vitality, and commitment to moving Southfield forward. Thank you.
Mr. Hicks.
I agree with many of the comments that were made. We're the governing agents for the city, developing the laws, the policies, the ordinances, but also have the fiduciary responsibility of approving a budget, amending it up on the budget, and adopting it.
Ms. Hogue.
Thank you. Yes, as everyone has stated, having financial responsibility over the city, setting policy, ensuring that the charter is administered to, that's key. But then what also is key is being a liaison between the residents and the businesses to the city administration. We should be the voice of the citizens, the voice of the businesses, to bring back, to ensure that their needs are met and their wants are considered and met if need be. Thank you.
Mr. Foster.
Okay, 12 tribes of Israel had a representative to represent them. And when in Acts, when they picked Matthias to be the new member to replace Judas, they thought they were doing the right thing. But it wasn't Matthias that was supposed to be picked. It was Paul that was supposed to be picked, because Paul wrote 13 books of the Bible. Paul did more than any of them because they did not wait. The city council represents the people. Sometimes people think, well, this person should represent me because I seen their flyer, and they know this person, and blah, blah, blah. But really the actual thing is the people that represent the city are people that sometimes you don't know who they are, but they speak for the city. So that is my point.
Mr. Mandelbaum.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hogue took the words right out of my mouth. Liaison. We are the board of directors. We have to be fiscally responsible. We set direction and policy for the city administration to carry out with all the department heads. We don't get involved in the day-to-day operations, but we set the guidelines and the direction of where we want to see the city. But at the same time, we're also problem solvers. Many of us have various backgrounds, and we work with the city administration on trying to solve many of the problems that face the city. But we're also problem solvers with residents. Residents call us all the time for help, and that's where the word liaison comes in. There's many times where, even in Kroger, walking down the street, residents will stop me, ask me for help, because that's our job as a liaison for the citizens to the city government. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brightwell, where do you stand on adding any millages, redirecting millages, and why or how should that be done?
Can you repeat that, please?
Where do you stand on adding any millages, redirecting millages, and why or how should that be done?
It'll be a hard sell for me to add another millage to the city of Southfield. We have some of the highest taxes in the region, and I would be hard pressed to add to that tax burden for the citizens of Southfield. It would have to be a very strenuous explanation and a very strenuous financial need for that. But right now, I do not see adding to the financial burden for the city, nor do I see redirecting funds at this point in time. If we needed to redirect funds, that would be a very critical financial calculus and a very critical thinking process of why and what is driving this. But just to put a cap on my statement, I'm not for any millage or rearranging millages and not adding to the tax burden for the citizens of Southfield.
Ms. Haynes?
I don't think that's something that our residents would approve of right now, having just a $300 million millage go through. I think that what we need to really look at is what's important in terms of what the people want. When we're talking about a millage here, we have to ask questions, we have to vote, and right now is probably not the best time to do that. And I think that we need to have more conversation with the residents and help them to understand that too. If you're talking about having a pool, if you're talking about having these things, that's going to cost money. So that's why we have to recreate collaborations within the schools, within these abandoned buildings, houses, and places where we can do things to not raise the taxes, but also just to keep us at a stay where we're not always paying higher taxes, because that's not something we all want. Thank you.
Mr. Hicks?
When I was on the school board, one of the focuses that I had was improving the financial state of the district. When I left, we left they were at an A standing. What that afforded the district to be able to do was to take existing millages and refinance them similar to as you do your home at a lower interest rate. What we were able to do was to take monies that we were able to save and redeploy that to help fix many things within the district. But what we also noticed was that there was still over $200 million in deferred maintenance, which required us to get operating millage as well as a capital bond millage to not just keep day-to-day operations going, but to also make improvements and address the deferred maintenance. Same type of approach needs to happen at the city, looking at our current financial state, as well as looking at how we can get money back or reduce the money we pay out in interest. Thank you.
Ms. Hogue?
Thank you. My answer would just be a flat no. Currently, right now, the city is doing a good job in its financial responsibility. That's why you have to make sure you keep the right people in that know what they're doing and to continue that work as well. My answer is a flat no.
Mr. Foster?
The only millage that I would push would be for schools, because if you don't invest in our kids now, you're going to invest in prisons later. And a lot of our citizens, our kids in this city, Southfield is in the middle, it's an inner suburb. Now, there are other places where their school systems are falling apart. I'm not going to mention the cities. And then they get the evil triangle. I talked about this in my commercial last year. They get the evil triangle. They get them a record. Then they can't get them a job. And then they have kids, and this keeps going on. Only time I would approve a millage is for our schools, to make sure our kids come. People are going to live in Southfield. They know they got good schools. You know, they wouldn't be leaving. They'll stay here. Like, well, they got good schools. You know, my house is, mortgage is doing pretty good. My value. I'm not leaving. I like Southfield. Southfield ain't keeping that many people here. It ain't perfect. If Southfield was perfect, we won't be losing anybody. It's not perfect.
Mr. Mandelbaum?
Thank you. I would say absolutely no to raising any taxes, any millages, unless there was a real need. For example, in the fiscal year that started in the city in July 1st of 2023, the city only had to raise their millage by 0.2 mils, and that was really for police and fire only. All the other millages either decreased or stayed the same. Southfield, one of the complaints that I always hear is the taxes are very high. Taxes are set by charter or by voting on from the residents with millages, and we cannot redistribute a lot of those millages because they are set. Parks and Rec is set, library is set. For every dollar spent in taxes, 46 cents goes to the city, 45 cents goes to the school district, and 9 cents goes to Oakland County. We are trying to do our best and be fiscally responsible.
Ms. Banks?
Thank you. I go back to, we have to be fiscally responsible in the city of Southfield. And I am not in favor of any additional millages or increases to our taxes. Thank you.
Next question goes to Ms. Haynes. When the $99 million bond proposal passed in 2014, what was that money allocated for? And what has it been used for thus far?
You know, that's a good question, and I really am not sure of that. That's something I'm abreast of on, and I guess all I can tell you.
Mr. Hicks?
My answer's the same. I can't recall what that money was allocated for.
Ms. Hogue?
Unfortunately, I would agree, I can't answer that question. I'm unprepared for that.
Mr. Foster?
I'll try to answer, repeat it.
When the $99 million bond proposal passed in 2014, what was that money allocated for, and what has it been used for thus far?
Probably wasted. It probably was wasted, to be honest with you, because Southfield, if you look at all these arcs around here, and they talk about they want to build dog parks, you know, it was probably wasted. You know, if we put our money in it, that's another reason why I'm running for office. We put our money in the right spot, fixing our streets, and basically moving the right businesses in, just maybe have some extra money to go to the schools. Be smart with our money. Just be smart with our money. You know, it probably was wasted, just being honest with you. Well, I don't know, but I'm sure it was probably wasted, because I've seen some people that run the city, and they friends with certain people in the city. But if in the future, we have to make sure we make the right decisions and just keep moving forward and just make this city prosperous. You know, we need to have a rainy day fund, make sure that money's put in the right spot. So hopefully I answered your question.
Mr. Mandelbaum?
Thank you. In 2014, the voters approved a 10-year road bond millage. That was strictly to improve the city roads. The city has combined that money with our water and sewer bond money to make sure that when we are repairing a road, repairing a sewer, we do it all at the same time so we don't have to dig streets up. So as an example, so far since 2014, 130 out of 249 miles have been improved. That's 50% of the miles of major roads in the city and 53 miles of local roads in the city. There have been a total of 84 projects since 2014, all representing road repair throughout the city in different areas. This year alone, we are spending over $10 million in road repair and over $20 million combined with our sewer repair for over $35 million this year in road and sewer repair. And that information can be found on the city's homepage under construction projects.
Ms. Banks?
Thank you. Yes, the $99 million bond that was approved in 2014 was for our roads. And since that time, we have been putting a plan together every year. And little by little, we've been improving both our main roads and our roads within our subdivisions. And my colleague basically said everything else, so thank you.
Mr. Brightwell?
Yeah, the bond was for roads. And when I became chair of the Finance Committee in 2015, up until last year, I'm currently on the committee, we track those dollars every month, the amount of money that's being spent on roads, so that we make sure none of that money is being diverted anywhere else but for roads. And as you will, some of our PESO ratings is the rating of the streets and roads in your city. Our PESO rating has went up a notch since we started making that investment in since we started spending that road bond money fund. So to answer the latter part of your question, we are definitely tracking on those dollars like they were money in our savings account. And we don't want those dollars diverted to anything else. Thank you.
Mr. Hicks?
Yes, ma'am.
How important is it to redevelop the unused Southfield schools, and what do you suggest we use them for?
Well, as I mentioned earlier on, I believe repurposing one of the buildings or multiple buildings to support youth and seniors for recreation is a good approach to repurpose assets already owned by our community. Thank you.
Ms. Hogue?
Yes, thank you. First and foremost, we have to understand who owns those buildings. It's not the city. However, the city has attempted to share some of its ideas with the school board, and where you've seen throughout the state and throughout the country is a lot of repurpose for housing, senior housing, and recreational centers. So it's not something new. But what key is who owns the buildings. That's why we have to have a better relationship with the school board so that we can pass those ideas along. Because ultimately, just as the question insinuates, it belongs to the city when it doesn't. Thank
Mr.
you.
Foster?
Well, here's a new plan that I want to put forward. But I will say, since we spend so much money on the roads, our roads look perfect. Everybody agrees with that? Well, then, okay, that's what you feel. So we have the best roads in Metro Detroit. Okay, so this is my idea. I didn't put it on YouTube because I want people to try to use it or mess it up. But I believe that the city of Southfield, what we could do for some of these schools and old hotels and buildings that's been sitting there, like the Star Theater. Well, I think Star Theater's been bought, but other buildings that have been sitting there for a while. My plan is up to city council because, you know, you vote 7 members there. Demo, park, charge. Demo means knock it down. Park, turn into a park, and then we got electric vehicles that need to be charged. I think people can go to these parks, they can use them, they can charge their cars, they can keep them there overnight, get their cars charged, but I think it's gonna be called a demo, park, and charge. We could use some of these buildings in Southfield, and we could use this space. I think that's pretty important.
Mr. Mandelbaum?
Thank you. As it was mentioned, the schools that are currently vacant or abandoned should be repurposed, but that's where the Southfield City Council needs to work with the school board, because as soon as it is sold by the school board, it now falls under the jurisdiction of the city council and the city's zoning rules. So we need to work together. There are currently some schools that have already been purchased and are being repurposed into condos or senior homes, and we are working on those. Sometimes great ideas are not necessarily great ideas. For example, there's been talk about making a school a rec center similar to what Harrison High became the Hawk. The problem is the Hawk loses $6 million a year. We want to make sure that if we are repurposing these schools and rec centers, that we are not going to create another burden for the Southfield taxpayers, and that they are repurposed for meaningful redevelopment that the city can utilize and will not be a burden. Thank you.
Ms. Banks?
Thank you. Yes, it would definitely be wonderful to redevelop some of the vacant Southfield schools. However, we do not own the buildings. And yes, I think it's important that we work with the schools to see if we can work together on a project. However, we cannot afford the selling price that the school has on some of their buildings. In Southfield, as my colleague stated, we have repurposed 2 buildings presently that were schools that we do own. One is going to become a senior housing development in the Beach Road area, and the other one we are turning into condominiums. So there is a desperate need for housing, and a lot of the schools are on a lot of property, and we definitely can build new homes, tiny homes, and be creative with housing in our city. Thank you.
Mr. Brightwell?
I'm for redeveloping, and I would like for the commercial community to purchase those buildings and to repurpose them. I know we currently have a couple of schools that are being repurposed into condos, but as far as the reason to get those buildings occupied, and I would be pushing for getting the realtors in here and trying to find commercial developers nationwide. But like when we did Northland, we had a purpose. We had a major commercial brokerage firm look at nationwide, who wanted to come in and develop in Northland. I would have the same thing with respect to repurposing all the vacant buildings and primarily repurposing them for condominiums and/or what is marketable, and that is not, it's a tax base, it become a new tax base for the city of Southfield. Thank you.
Ms. Haynes,
Can you please repeat the question?
how important is it to redevelop the unused Southfield schools, and what do you suggest we use them for?
I sat and watched a school behind me stay vacant for over 10 years. That means that that school was still on the taxpayer's roll. I was not very happy about that because we're paying money for that. I think we need to be more accountable and responsible to our citizens, to our residents, to those in authority that we work with, to develop ways that we can get rid of things like that. There's another school, I understand that it was so neglected that the pipes burst. So nothing can be done but to tear that down. We can't allow this to keep happening. We need to build a relationship that develops accountability, that spends the money well. To whom much is given, much is required. And if you're not able to take care of the small things, why should you be responsible for the greater things? We must do a better job. We cannot redevelop till we be accountable for what we have. Thank you.
Ms. Hogue, you have the last question. What can you do to help eliminate Airbnbs popping up throughout Southfield that bring crime, noise disturbances, and increased traffic to our quiet neighborhoods?
Well, thank you for that question. Currently, as a member of the neighborhood committee that I sit on, that is a topic and one that which we are trying to develop a policy so that we can have control of that. The problem is that a lot of these Airbnbs are not registered with the city. And so unfortunately, we don't hear about it until something happens that upsets our neighbors, and we hear about it that way. So we are trying to come up with regulations within the city so that, one, we can ensure that as homeowners move into the city, that they register their property as either their primary home or if it's a rental, and then understand the purpose of the rental. And so that is key. It is becoming a problem, and it's already on our to-do list now to get a hold of it so that it doesn't become a bigger problem. Thank you.
Mr. Foster.
I agree with most of the stuff she said, though. But one thing I do want to say that when I was on the police department, especially in Dallas, we had two types of officers. We had two types of cars. We had the regular car. It was a white car. It was marked. That had people, you can go up to it or flag them down, or it was a normal car. It was the officers that really didn't do much. That's how they promoted. Okay, then you had the real officers that drove the smooth car. It was an unmarked car. They went out and solved most of the crimes. Sometimes they got in trouble, but they got their hands dirty. All right, so if Southfield, if they see the police in your area, they know you're aggressively patrolling it, whether it's plain car or smooth car, they won't think about bringing some of the stuff that's happening here because they know our police presence is strong. I'm always going back to police. I did police work for 8 years, you know, so I just think we got to just let these guys do their job. Just make sure a lot of these officers look like their community. That's the problem that Oak Park has, but they don't want to address it.
Mr. Mandelbaum.
Thank you. Airbnbs has become a problem within the city. This past summer, the city updated our ordinances of vacant homes and registered homes to include Airbnbs. What that means is that if a home is not homesteaded, which again we rely on some honesty from the homeowners, is the building department requires an inspection of the home, as well as a little sticker placed in a visible area for code enforcement or police officers to have a contact of 24/7 contact of the property manager or the owner of that home if there becomes a problem. That way, if it is an Airbnb, or if there are problems with the residents or the renters in those homes, there's an easily identifiable way to find out who is in charge of that home, whether it's an owner or a property manager, and we can resolve the problem quickly. Thank you.
Ms. Banks?
Thank you. The Neighborhood Services Committee did study Airbnbs quite extensively, and we decided that we would treat Airbnb similar to the rental registration of homes in our city. So if someone does have an Airbnb, they have to register with the building department. As my colleague said, there is a sticker that is placed on the window identifying who the owner is and a telephone number. The city also has a 24-hour number in case there is a problem. And we thought we took a less aggressive approach when it came to regulating, because we already have a noise ordinance. So the home will fall under the noise ordinance. The owner of the home is responsible, and the police department, if they are called, they will definitely go out to the property. We've been pretty fortunate in Southfield that we haven't had a problem since we've adopted this ordinance. Thank you.
Mr. Brightwell?
My position, we enforce the rules, we have ordinances, and I would start with respect to registering, enforcing that rule, and going through the assessor's office to make sure we identify who this is, and enforcing the rules and finding individuals and/or doing whatever we can legally do to make sure everyone in the city of Southfield obey the rules for being here. Thank you.
Ms. Haynes?
First, I think, like she just said, we follow the rules that are already on the book. I'm not sure if we can put a moratorium on something like that because we don't know where those Airbnbs are. I think it's important that we have our residents become involved in this as well, which can go through the neighborhood associations, not ratting on a person, but also just letting them know, hey, this is an Airbnb here. Those Airbnb is not always a bad thing, but they can become a bad thing. And I think when we revitalize our neighborhood associations, our homeowners association, we can have eyes and ears watching, and they can tell us what's going on, and we can have those targeted places where we know where they are. So the people will understand that there may be people coming in and out of them for certain reasons, but we can also enforce the laws if they get out of hand. Southfield is a beautiful place, and there are beautiful homes. I've seen them when I was campaigning, and it was very nice, and I can see someone wanting to make money and renting out their place. But I think we need to follow the guidelines, make sure there are not too many on one street, which may require a moratorium. But I mean, not being on the inside on the council, I wouldn't know all the things that we would do with that, but I think we need to really monitor it.
Thank you. Mr. Hicks?
So as the governing body, this council defines the laws, the policies, the ordinances. I believe that this body needs to work with other municipalities and cities to understand how they have handled this situation in their cities. Those who effectively do it well, maybe we can bring back some lessons learned to help define policy, ordinances, or laws to help govern how Airbnbs are held in the city.
This concludes our question and answer session. We will now begin with their closing statements, starting with Mr. Mandelbaum. You have 1 minute.
My name is Councilman Michael Ari Mandelbaum. You can visit my website, mandelbaum4council.com. That's the number 4, mandelbaum4council.com, to learn more about me, my issues, and my accomplishments on council. You can also look at my endorsements from both our elected officials and our many labor organizations. I can be reached at 248-905-1095, as I like to be accessible to all residents and business owners and anyone who wants to discuss Southfield. This fall, I'm asking for your vote to keep me on Southfield City Council. I will continue to fight to keep our city diverse, make it more walkable, attract younger families with affordable housing, great schools, and community activities. For the past 8 years, I've had the privilege to serve you. With your vote again, I go to work.
Thank you. Ms. Banks.
I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting the forum this evening. As a lifelong Southfield resident, Southfield has been my whole life. I was born here, raised here, educated here, attended Southfield Public Schools, was married here. I go to church here, and I was blessed with 2 beautiful children here. I am the only candidate on the city council who has 47 years of institutional knowledge. I am seeking re-election to ensure Southfield's continued success. I have the dedication, experience, and hands-on working knowledge that the city of Southfield needs. My many years of loyal service, my love and commitment to the future of our city makes me the highest qualified choice for Southfield City Council. Vision, unity, experience, and leadership is what I bring to the table. Please remember to cast your vote and bank on Banks to continue to move our great city forward. Also, thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. Mr. Brightwell.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. I enjoy serving on the city council, and I'm especially proud to be recognized as a highly functioning councilman that get things done. There is a reason I'm endorsed by our former Congresswoman, the county executive, our state senator, our state representative, our current mayor, and the entire city council. And the renowned Mrs. Barbara Talley is endorsing me. I'm endorsed by the UAW and our firefighters because of my high level of getting things done. It's my reputation for getting things done. Going forward, I will continue to push the building of a year-round swimming pool. I will look for the development of a senior citizen center, and I will continue to grow our property values. Thank you.
Ms. Haynes.
There's a saying that says, bloom where you are planted. And I have planted seeds here over this city in doing the things that I've done as a servant leader, serving as president of the Friends, serving as president of the Youth Assistance, also as business developer for the Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce. I have talked to people in the community, residents, business people, and I understand the importance of things that matter to them. I am asking for your support, and I thank you for coming out. I thank you for the League of Women Voters for what you have done. There's another saying that also paraphrasing says, I am only one. I still am one. I can do something. And I'm saying I can't do all things, but I can do something. And I have done some things, and I would like to continue to do those things here in this great city of Southfield. I think that moving forward, we can work together in this diverse city, respect each other, join together, regardless of our beliefs and disbeliefs about each other, find a common ground to work to move this city forward. I'm really willing to be a team player to get that job done. Your vote, your voice for Southfield City Council, Yolanda C. Haynes. Thank you.
Mr. Hicks.
Again, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and the Southfield community for listening to all of us who are passionate about serving you. I ask that you vote for me because I have proven experience in improving government operations. I effectively resolve issues, and I mitigate risks before they become issues. I'm a team player focused on making our city better now and for future generations to come. Please vote for Charles Hicks as an absentee ballot or at the polls. I am endorsed by the UAW, AFL-CIO, AFSCME, Southfield Latham Democratic Club, State Representative Natalie Price, County Commissioners Janet Jackson, as well as Yolanda Smith-Charles, as well the Southfield Board of Education. We've heard a lot of comment about collaboration, and I can help foster that collaboration and make it reality. Thank you.
Ms. Hogue.
Thank you. Again, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. I'd like to thank the Southfield residents. I am asking for your support this November, Coretta Holt, to continue the work that I have been doing and have been doing before the council. I am an independent thinker. I do collaborate and bring people together. I don't just say it. I'm an example of it. I've been endorsed by State Senator Moss, State Representative Hoskins, the mayor, the entire city council. I think it's key that I was not looking to be in this position. I was asked to step up unanimously, and I did it. Haven't missed a day since I've been here. I have attended every training opportunity available to me through the state of Michigan. So I show my commitment to the city, and I ask that you show yours to me and let me continue the work by getting your vote in this November's election. Thank you.
Mr. Foster.
Last but not least, Mr. Foster. Okay, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, for watching. There is a complete difference between me and my opponent. There's a complete difference. They're going to brag about their endorsements, how much money they spent, what they got. You going to serve God or you going to serve people? I'm going to serve God, and then God is going to bless me to give you the ideas and the ability to tell you what's going on, what we should invest in or shouldn't invest in. It's that simple. You know, one thing I learned about the person I lost to last year, you know, he won completely. But a lot of stuff they pass is against God. So you make sure you do stuff that's for God. And I think in Southfield is a turning point. Because a lot of people that come from Southfield, they move up. And then they're pushing this state away from God. And I think that's where I step in. Because I believe that we are going away where the end times are coming. And I want people to get ready. So I think you should vote for Ryan Foster because I want to do stuff in this city. I want to fix our streets. And I think representation is important. So vote for Foster 2-year term on that ballot.
Thank you. Thank you. The League of Women Voters would like to thank the audience, the candidates, and Jim Hall and Southfield Cable 15. Thank you very much for making this forum possible. For further nonpartisan information on these candidates, visit vote411.org for our voter guide. Rebroadcast of this forum will be on the League of Women Voters website. The League of Women Voters is funded by contributions from concerned businesses and citizens. Our membership is open to women and men over the age of 16. This presentation is copyrighted 2023 by the League of Women Voters and can only be shown in its entirety, all rights reserved. Last of all, remember to vote November 7th. Democracy is not a spectator sport. Thank you.